Super Hexagon is an arcade-style game, and as such it does not have any story to speak of. The premise is that you are a triangle moving on a grid, avoiding incoming walls by rotating. However, the game does have an ending to it, so you can complete it. The game has a very simplistic menu. It has no music and consists only of the start game, options and credits items. Options are rather limited. They enable you to configure a joypad, change screen size and turn VSync on, among other things. One more interesting option is the one that allows you to switch to the arcade mode, which changes the gameplay in such a way that after you lose a level you get to type your name next to your score. This is a great feature when you play with friends that lets you compete against one another. In the Start Game menu, you may choose one out of 3 difficulty settings, and you also have 3 additional locked stages. The graphics in the game are very colorful, and the colors of the grid change during gameplay from level to level. The triangle that you play as is well visible, although a bit small, and due to the added rotation of the grid, you may sometimes lose track of it. This changing rotation, combined with flashing, constantly changing colors, may cause some players to feel dizzy or nauseous. The game is surely not to be played by those with epilepsy problems. The music is the highlight of this title. It is fast, energetic, and will give you a bit of an adrenaline rush. It is what makes Super Hexagon so much fun to play, and you will hear different music themes depending on the difficulty level you currently play on. Each subsequent difficulty level has a longer song that is rather varied, and it will start at different points each time after you restart the level. However, those variations are very limited, and you will end up hearing the same tunes over and over.
Begin.
Super Hexagon is a very fast-paced, challenging game. It is very difficult, but not impossible. Your goal is to simply survive as long as you can. If you hit an incoming obstacle, it's game over and you have to restart the level from the beginning. You rotate on the grid using the mouse buttons for either clockwise or counterclockwise spin. The controls are smooth and responsive. However, if you happen to accidentally click both buttons at the same time, the triangle will suddenly stop moving and you may lose. In addition to the general goal of surviving as long as you can, you also move through different levels of the stage. The longer you survive, the higher the level you get to. You start from point level, then line, then triangle, and so on. Each level is another stage of a figure, and ultimately you have to reach the hexagon level, at which point, if you die, you complete the given difficulty level. To reach that level, you must survive at least 60 seconds. You may of course try again, at which point instead of shapes in the upper left you are shown your last best time, and the game continues infinitely. After clearing a difficulty stage, you unlock an even more challenging one. However, the unlocked stages are basically hyper modes of the difficulty stage you just passed. What this means is that the music is the same, the grid looks mostly the same, only with some more varied obstacles, but the stage and obstacles move faster and the color of the stage is different. Each stage has randomly generated walls that move towards the center. These walls come in several patterns that will repeat the more you play. This way you can memorize the patterns for each stage and its possible changes, so you may do better in the game. Besides the walls, the whole grid rotates with changing direction, may suddenly spin quickly and also zooms in or out and changes the angle towards the camera, not to mention that the grid may change its overall shape as well, affecting the wall patterns. On higher difficulties you get even more complex patterns to avoid, adding to the challenge challenge as they move faster towards the center, so you really need to be focused not to lose. This makes Super Hexagon somewhat frustrating, but it is the kind of frustration that pushes you to try better and harder in beating the score and finishing a level. The challenge is fair, since you can memorize the stages more or less, and all you require here is quick thinking and fast button pressing. After you finish the first 3 difficulty levels, you can challenge yourself with the hyper modes. These can be finished as the normal levels were after you reach the 60-second mark. However, this time if you finish all 3 hyper modes, you will receive an ending that has a very good tune in it. Also, you may try to beat your own score and compete with your friends or other players from around the world. The game has a scoreboard that you can access from the menu or within the game after you lose. Unfortunately, that is the only thing left to do after you unlock the additional stages. Super Hexagon is an incredible game in which a very simple concept was executed perfectly and everything in it works well. This game is a prime example of what arcade games used to be. Challenge that will push you to the limits. Yes, it is extremely difficult, and yes, it is sometimes a bit frustrating, but it is the kind of difficulty that will make you scream hell yes when you beat the stage or your own score, rather than scream of anger, like when you die to an overpowered enemy. Also, because this game is of a casual kind, you can play it when you have only a few minutes to spare, so you don't have to waste long hours with the game, and you can come back to it at any time and stop whenever you have to. Then again, if you would happen to sit playing it for several hours straight and manage to pass the levels and beat the game, it will lose its purpose, since it is fundamentally short. This game's strength is also its biggest flaw, because while challenging, it may be simply too difficult for some gamers and nauseating for others. Consequently, the game is not meant for everybody. It is more dedicated to those that miss the good old times of the arcade beauty, and Super Hexagon is that beauty at its finest. Thus, taken for what it is, it deserves 3.5 out of 5 cubes. If it had a bit more levels that would gradually boost the difficulty, it would be close to perfect, but it is still a very nice game, very addicting and also very satisfying.
The never-ending tale.